Somewhere I feel it in my soul. One chance is everything we've waited for. It's our time, so let me take it home and knock it out of this world. Out of this world where we going. Out of this world, yeah. Out of this world where we going. So come on, let me take it.
Waiting and anticipating just to get a chance so we can be great kings. That time now wasting, no more debating. Today, our future creating. Here when we stating, we want the rating. Open a pray, enough deliberating. No plating, it been frustrating.
Yeah, we start this week of the SportsMax Zone with cricket. You know, I really thought I felt it in my soul, but it's not to be. And now the dream is over. West Indies fans were left heartbroken on Sunday night, and the Caribbean side was eliminated from the T20 World Cup after going down by 3 wickets to South Africa on the DLS method at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua and Barbuda. The West Indies were sent to bat in a virtual quarter-final playoff and were restricted to 135 for 8. Roston Chase top scored with 52, while Kyle Mayers in his first game of the tournament added 35. South Africa reached 15 for 2 after 2 overs before rain interrupted play, forcing the match to be reduced to 17 overs, with Duckworth Lewis resetting the target to 123. Tristan Stubbs with 29 and Heinrich Klaassen 22 pushed the Proteas to 124 for 7 to win by 3 wickets with 5 balls to spare. Chase was the best Windies bowler with 3 for 12. Let's now hear from the West Indies captain, Rovman Powell.
Honestly, emotions was leveled in the sense where the guys left the hotel wanting to play for the people of the Caribbean, wanting to win, you know, and we just weren't successful tonight. And it's sports, it's a game of cricket, and those things do happen. I think not just this tournament, but the cricket that we have played over the last 12 months, you know, to take 12 months to move from number 9 in the world to number 3 in the ICC ranking is an absolutely amazing jump. You know, it's for us as a team to continue working. It's for us as a team to stay still close-knitted, and it's for us as a team to just keep on building. You know, as you say, 24 months time, we have another shot of the World Cup. Hopefully, guys here can continue playing and doing well in international cricket and franchise cricket. And when that time comes, we'll have the same core of players trying to win a World Cup for the Caribbean.
Yeah, Rovman Powell, the West Indies T20 captain, putting the defeat against South Africa and the exit from the T20 World Cup into context. Lance and Mariah, we do have Fazir Mohammed, but before I get to Fazir Mohammed, you know, there is something I have to say or do. And, you know, I thought about this long and hard. And before I do it, I just want to say, I never ever doubted Roston Chase as a bowler or even as a cricketer, because I've said I believe that his best format is the longest format, which is the test format of the game. But after everything that Roston Chase has done at this World Cup, both with bat and ball...
Are you going to apologize?
I have...
Good. Very good. Ricardo, today for the first time on this show, I'm so proud of you. I didn't even know you had that in you. You know how to apologize?
I just thought I needed to say that to Roston Chase.
I'm so proud of you. And he earned that, and you deserve to do that.
Fazir Mohammed, it's good to have you. Were you one of the Roston doubters?
No, not really, because I think when you look at his performances overall, he is what you would call your thinking cricketer, in the sense that he has the skills, he has the wherewithal. He may not be your spectacular ball beater, but I think he has all of the attributes to adjust his game accordingly, and we saw that last night.
Yeah, let's look at last night's game, because I've seen a lot of discussion, Fazir, about where West Indies lost the game. And whenever you lose a game like that, especially one so close, you can always point to 5, 6, 7, 8 different periods of a game where it all went wrong. But when you look at it and you analyze it, where do you think it went wrong for the West Indies last night? Or what was the most significant period or happening in the game?
5 for 2 after 2 overs, basically, because from that point on, it's a struggle. Because again, This brings to mind the importance of a good start, and contrast that with Afghanistan, who rely heavily on the openers, have very little after that, but they within touching distance of the semi-finals now once they beat Bangladesh tonight, and it reinforces the value of a good start. So yes, there are many points along the way, but that part of it, losing those 2 wickets so very early, Shea Hope and Nicholas Pooran, but also in the end getting to 135. Not too many teams win T20 matches, even in difficult batting conditions, even if they are rain-affected matches. You really don't expect to win a match scoring 135. I thought the West Indies fought extremely well. Chase bowled superbly. I think everyone did as best as they could do in the circumstances in trying to defend that total. I think South Africa tried their best to lose as well by panicking towards the end in pursuit of that target, but it really was asking a lot for the West Indies to defend just 135.
Yeah, and of course, the skipper, Rovman Powell, Faz, he reiterated that in the end in the press conference, speaking about the fact that the team was about 15-20 runs short. Now, that aside, I still want to ask you about the rain and, how do you think the rain affected just the momentum of the game? Because these things tend to shake up the players from time to time. Do you think that had a part to play?
I thought the rain worked in favor of the West Indies because, again, you always sensed that South Africa were a bit shaky when they lost those 2 wickets to Andre Russell just before the rains came down, especially Quinton de Kock. You got the feeling that they were saying in their own minds, and indeed, I think a couple of the television commentators, Dale Steyn, a South African himself, Sean Pollock, they were always muttering the same thing. Here we go again, being interrupted by the rain. There's going to be some recalculation. It's going to be more difficult and so on. So I thought that the rain actually did the West Indies a favor in tightening the game and giving their bowlers a better chance of trying to limit South Africa. So in the end, the game became a much closer contest. I felt if it didn't, the showers didn't come down, even with those 2 wickets, South Africa would have probably had an easier journey to that target. So the rain did play a part, but it wasn't enough to really help the West Indies scores at that critical final stage.
Yeah, and again, it's really, really unfortunate in the manner in which we exit this T20 World Cup, especially because West Indies are the co-host of such a prestigious tournament. But Faz, one of the things I noted when Rovman Powell spoke in that press conference, he reiterated the fact that, the growth of this team, the fact that the team, when it comes to the rankings, have moved from, he said, number 9 to number 3. And I think it should be commended, just the manner in which the team went about fighting against some of the teams that, we felt would have put up a massive opposition, a massive fight against them. Each time West Indies, they came out on top. It's just unfortunate that they lost that match last night. What do you think about that point, the growth of this West Indies team?
A couple of things before that. The fact that the West Indies didn't go to the semi-finals and won't win the title is no disgrace, because just to give you an example, Australia were champions in 2021, and then in 2022 in their own country they couldn't reach the semi-finals. So again, in T20 cricket, anything can happen at any given time. You could point to that 20-run over when Heinrich Klaassen faced up to Gudakesh Moti. So again, those are pivotal moments. The shorter the contest, it's like a penalty shootout. The shorter the contest, the more pivotal every single thing appears in that sense. To your point though about what he said about the fans, no, that's correct, because I was surprised to see an absolutely full house for the game on Friday night against the USA at Kensington Oval, because yes, you were expected to turn out Friday night, Kensington Oval, but it's USA, and the West Indies were expected to win comfortably, but the ground was full. The ground was full at the Brian Lara Academy for the game against New Zealand. The ground was almost full because it's very difficult to fill the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium last night for the game against South Africa, which tells us that as disillusioned as many of the fans are and continue to be, they desperately want to identify with a winning team. So yes, the challenge now is for the West Indies, not just the T20 team, but the 50-over team, the Test match team for the series coming up next month in England, to carry it forward, to really show that this experience is not just cast aside, that it's about looking to lift the game The women, look at the status of the women's game in Sri Lanka as well. It's almost as if they are going backwards instead of forwards. So there's a lot to be done, but there's a lot to build on, as Robin Powell said, going from 9 to 3 in the rankings. Yes, coming out before the semi-finals, and now it's really up not just to the players themselves, but to the authorities to market the game a lot more aggressively, to make young people much more aware about a West Indies team, about a West Indies legacy, not just now, of course, but what we've done and what we've been able to achieve. So it could be a really good stepping off point, but that really depends on a number of different personalities and organizations taking advantage of this opportunity.
Yeah, Faz, I want to go quickly back into a little bit of analysis in the game itself. But since we are where we are at the moment in this discussion, there are those who aren't interested in T20 cricket, and there are some purists of the game have long criticized T20 cricket because they don't think it's real, pure cricket. But just to expand on the point that you just made, that Rovman made about trying to re-energize fans in the West Indies about the team and the success it has had over the past year and a half or so in T20 cricket. Does T20 cricket then, Faz, get some credit for re-energizing the fans for cricket, which a lot of people have been worried about the trajectory of cricket's popularity in the past 5 or 6 years?
Absolutely, Lance. And dinosaurs like me have to get with the program. Because the fact is that you just to use the word you used a little while ago about the purists, these so-called purists, what purity are they talking about? Because Test match cricket was 3 days, was 4 days, was 5 days. It was uncovered pitches. It was so many different variations. So what purity are they talking about? It was a time when the LBW rule was so deficient that spinners like Sunny Ramadan were almost drummed out of the game. So those who like to say it with some pride that they are purists, what purity are they talking about? Cricket has been a continuous evolution for more than 200 years. Yes, we may not like the crash, bang, 4s and 6s all the time, which is why I actually enjoy this tournament, because I like bowlers having a fighting chance. And we talked about this already. And therefore, to your specific question, if the authorities, if the marketing people, if the sponsors around the Caribbean can't realize that this is an opportunity to build on, yes, as I said, there's disappointment, but that won't mean you just drop everything and go home. You build on it. Because again, you look at other nations that were able to have similar type experiences and built on it. England built towards the 2019 World Cup. Australia had their disappointments and they were on the verge of a triple crown. It's not going to happen now unless there's a shock result tonight. But again, it really depends on the authorities not looking at others to do it, but recognizing here's an opportunity to be latched upon. And yes, it's T20 cricket, but so what? It is cricket. Never mind what, again, these so-called purists want to say. It is still very much an evolution of the game. And I think this T20 tournament has showed us how challenging it can be if there are surfaces that present those different options to the batsmen and the bowlers.
Yeah, and just to touch on the point that Ricardo had made at the top of the show, because you know when there's a West Indies defeat, all the experts will come out pointing fingers as to where the West Indies lost the match and so on. But I'm pretty much with you, Faz, on what you said, that the batting was what was the biggest problem. 135, pretty tame, and the South Africans were very easy in the run chase. Well, they had a very easy job, because halfway through the innings, all they needed was to get singles and twos, and they would have won it easily. But somehow Stubbs and Miller and Maharaj seemed to think that they would want to, score a smashing win, and it was only Janssen that played, intelligently and just ensured that the South Africans got the win that was always there for them. Based on the run rate required and so on. So that by itself tells me that the West Indies had lost the match with their batting.
No question about it. As I said, you could debate all sorts of things. We're looking at the highlights now of that over from Gudakesh Moti. You had 135 in a T20 match. it's really asking a lot to be able to defend that. And therefore, again, okay, Shehope played a blinder on Friday night, but again, it's a different sort of surface. The ball might not be carrying on. He goes through with the shot and is out. Nicholas Puran is set up again, as we've seen so many times, but if it clears the boundary, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. When it happens as it happens last night, you ask if he's really a thinking cricketer. So it really comes down to whether or not our players are aware of the circumstances that they're in. And then there's a bit of the opposition, the pitches, what state of the tournament, what is required of them. There are so many different variables, Lance. But I think bottom line is, if you score 135, don't really expect to win.
Yeah, Faz, I think there is no doubt that 135 was short on the part of the West Indies, at least 20 runs, and that match could have been so different. But there is also another school of thought when you look at how that match played out, and I see a number of individuals pointing fingers at the captain, Rovman Powell, and saying maybe he missed a few tricks when the West Indies trying to defend that total, including waiting too long to bring on someone like a Roston Chase, maybe not bowling more of the pace bowlers who were definitely getting a lot out of the surface earlier on, instead of and going all of 3 overs this time around in the power play with the left arm spinner Akeal Hussain, and maybe even bringing on Gudakesh Moti ahead of Roston Chase again. Do you feel that Rovman Powell has to take a little of the blame for how things turned out last night?
He'll take quite a bit of the responsibility because he's the captain. He makes the decisions, Ricardo. And the fact is that in the end, it didn't work out. But let's be realistic about it. Let's be honest about it. Defending 135, adjusted yes to 123 or whatever it was, and to have South Africa 110 for 7. Did we really think going into that period of play that was possible? And therefore, you could say, well, okay, maybe he should have started with Roston Chase, but then Andrew Russell wouldn't have picked up those 2 important wickets. There are always, when you lose, when you win in any contest, you could spend a year and a half arguing ad nauseum about a particular point, and you really can't be proven right or wrong because it's speculation. But at the end of the day, can we truly say that getting 135 creates in your mind the expectation that you're going to win?
Yeah, fair enough, Faz. You know what? At the end of the day, one thing you can give the West Indies credit for is that they fought all the way to the very end and they pushed the South Africans, even though it should have been a lot easier for the South Africans, given the situation they got themselves in, especially after that 20-run over from Gudakesh Moti, Lance.
Yeah, and I just want to say quickly, Faz, before we wrap the segment, that we have to credit South Africa's game plan as well because of how they deliberately use their spinners predominantly in the game against a struggling West Indies batting lineup. Kagiso Rabada, who is one of the best fast bowlers in the world, didn't bowl onto the 18th over, and that was a calculated strategy from the South Africans, which just shows how clinical they had thought this game out. And they have to take some credit there as well, because bowling-wise, they certainly had better tools to win this match than the West Indies.
And just on that point, I think Sean Pollock said it on commentary, their former captain and all-rounder, it has taken them 30 years to recognize the value of spin. Because for years, they considered spinners to be surplus. But again, they recognize the situation, hence the result.
All right, Faz, thanks very much for joining us today. Let's head into a break. So much more to come on the SportsMax Zone. Stay with us.
So we say we go and bring all of the fight where we are from within. No stalling, so we do it broadly. I can hear the greatness calling. So we're balling is a in-bad thing. Champion vibes and we ain't falling. Listen when we sing, so we dip on the grind. So you know, so we have to go and do it this time. So when we combine all who don't see, we are set them ain't shine. Cause the victory is inside me, I tell you this step on my mind.